It is the first week of September, and Lena is standing in a school supply aisle in a Target in suburban Ohio. Her daughter is 4 years old. She is not starting school for another year. But Lena is already here, staring at flashcard sets and phonics workbooks and an early reader program that promises to have children reading. Chapter books by kindergarten. She picks up one of the boxes. She reads the back. She puts it in the cart. She doesn't fully know why. She just knows that other parents are doing this. She knows that her daughter's preschool already sends home worksheets. She knows that kindergarten now covers what first grade covered when she was a child. She knows that something has shifted, and that if she doesn't keep up, her daughter won't. 8 time zones away, in the city of Tampere, Finland, a woman named Marta is doing something different. Marta is a teacher with 15 years of experience in the Finnish school system. Her classroom is warm. There are no desks arranged in rows. There are tables, soft chairs, an area of open floor, and a shelf of wooden toys. She is preparing for a morning with 6-year-olds, children who, in the Finnish system, are still a year away from beginning formal school. What will they do today? Play, move, build things, choose what happens next. On paper, these 2 women are preparing for the same thing, the education of a young child. In practice, they are operating from completely different theories about how children learn. Here is what makes this interesting. We have the data. We don't have to guess which approach works. In 2023, PISA, the Program for International Student Assessment, released its global rankings for reading, mathematics, and science across 81 countries. Finland ranked in the top 5. The United States ranked 34th in mathematics, 13th in reading. Finnish children start formal school at age 7. American children start at 5 or 6 and begin structured academic instruction even earlier in preschool. By every measure of early academic exposure, American children receive more and earlier than Finnish children. By every measure of outcome, Finnish children perform better. That gap is not an accident. It is the result of a specific set of decisions that the Finnish education system makes deliberately. Decisions that look, from the outside, like doing less, but that the research shows are actually doing something different and deeper. There are 5 of them. The 5th one is the one that surprises education researchers most when they visit Finnish schools for the first time. The first thing Finland doesn't do is push formal academics before age 7. In most Western countries, academic instruction begins between 4 and 6 years old. Letters, numbers, phonics, basic reading, introduced through structured lessons, worksheets, and tests. The logic is intuitive. Earlier exposure means earlier mastery. More input, more output. Neuroscience doesn't support this. Research from developmental psychologists, including Adele Diamond at the University of British Columbia, shows that the skills most predictive of academic success, sustained attention, working memory, cognitive flexibility, are not strengthened by early academic drilling. They are strengthened by self-directed play. By activities where children set their own goals, encounter their own obstacles, and find their own solutions. In Finland, the years before age 7 are called the play years, not as a euphemism, as a policy. Finnish early childhood education is legally structured around free play, outdoor movement, and child-led activity. Teachers observe. They facilitate. They do not instruct in the traditional sense. When Finnish children enter formal school at 7, they enter with something that years of worksheets cannot manufacture. They know how to concentrate, how to persist, and how to direct their own attention. Researchers call this executive function readiness. Finnish educators call it being ready to learn. The second thing Finland doesn't do is assign significant homework before age 13. This is the one that stops most American parents completely when they first hear it. No homework? Through middle school? The research behind this decision comes from a body of literature studying cognitive load and recovery in children. The human brain, and particularly a developing brain, is not a continuous processing machine. It requires recovery cycles. When children spend 6 hours in structured learning and then return home to 2 more hours of structured work, they are not doubling their learning. They are compressing their recovery time. Finnish students typically spend 30 minutes or less on homework through the early years of school. What do they do instead? They play outside. They eat dinner with their families. They sleep. Finland has some of the highest average sleep hours among school-age children in the developed world. Sleep researchers at Harvard Medical School studying children's academic performance found that sleep quality and duration are more strongly correlated with learning outcomes than homework volume. Finnish policy treats recovery not as a luxury, but as a structural component of learning, something that has to be protected, not sacrificed. By 8th grade, Finnish students who have had minimal homework consistently outperform students from high homework systems on international assessments, not because they worked less, because their brains were allowed to consolidate learning instead of being chronically overloaded. The third thing Finland doesn't do is administer standardized tests before age 16. American students face standardized testing beginning in 3rd grade, age 8 or 9. By the time an American student graduates high school, they have sat through dozens of standardized assessments. The stated purpose is measurement. Identify gaps, track progress, hold schools accountable. What the research shows, however, is a series of unintended consequences. A 2019 meta-analysis published in Educational Psychology Review, examining data from 14 countries, found that high-stakes testing in early childhood consistently increases anxiety, reduces intrinsic motivation, and narrows curriculum. Teachers focus on testable content, creative and exploratory subjects shrink, and children begin to understand education as performance rather than discovery. Finland tests once, at age 16. Before that, teachers assess students continuously, through observation, conversation, and project work, but no result is high stakes. No result determines the child's trajectory. There is no moment before adolescence where a Finnish child is formally ranked against their peers. What this protects is something that learning researchers consider foundational: intrinsic motivation. Children who learn because they are curious, because discovery feels rewarding, because mastery itself is satisfying, learn more deeply and retain learning longer than children who learn to avoid a bad score. Finland doesn't just want children to know things. It wants children who want to know things. The 4th and 5th decisions are structural, and they work together. Finnish schools provide 15 minutes of outdoor recess for every 45 minutes of indoor instruction. This is the highest recess-to-instruction ratio of any school system in the developed world. It is not considered a break from learning. It is considered a component of it. Studies from the University of Illinois and the Finnish Institute for Health and Welfare both show that physical movement between learning blocks significantly improves subsequent concentration, memory encoding, and emotional regulation. Movement is not a reward for completing work. It is a prerequisite for the work functioning. Finnish schools treat it this way. And underneath all of this is the 5th decision, the one that surprises researchers most when they enter a Finnish classroom. Finnish teachers are not scripted. There is no mandatory national curriculum in Finland that dictates what a teacher must cover on a given day, in a given week, or in a given sequence. Finnish teachers receive 4 to 5 years of advanced university training. Teaching is one of the most competitive and respected professions in the country. And then they are trusted. Trusted to know their students. Trusted to make decisions about pacing, content, and method. Trusted to adapt. This is what researchers call teacher autonomy, and it produces something that no scripted curriculum can. A teacher who is genuinely engaged, genuinely responsive, and genuinely invested in the individual child in front of them. Finnish students don't just benefit from better policies. They benefit from teachers who are treated as professionals and who, in turn, treat their students as people rather than data points. Put these 5 decisions together, and you arrive at what education researchers have started calling the Finnish Paradox. By every conventional Western measure, Finland's system looks like it isn't trying hard enough. School starts later. Homework is minimal. There are almost no tests. Recess takes up a significant portion of every school day. Teachers operate without a script. And yet Finland consistently produces some of the most literate, highest-performing, most emotionally resilient students in the world. The paradox resolves when you understand what Finnish education is actually optimizing for, and it isn't short-term performance metrics. It isn't the ability to pass a test at age 8. It is the development of a child who, at age 17, is genuinely capable, academically, socially, and emotionally. A child who has learned how to learn, who has a relationship with knowledge that is rooted in curiosity rather than anxiety, who has the executive function, the intrinsic motivation, and the emotional stability to navigate difficulty without breaking. Finland is playing a longer game than most education systems, and the PISA data is what happens when you play the long game and win. The difficult thing about the Finnish model is that many of its most important decisions require adults to resist instinct. The instinct to push earlier, the instinct to assign more, the instinct to test constantly so that nothing is missed, the instinct to fill every hour with structured input because empty time feels like wasted time. What Finland has learned, and what decades of educational research keep confirming, is that the most important things children need to develop cannot be accelerated. They can only be protected. Space to play, time to recover, a teacher who knows them, a system that trusts them. Lena's daughter will start school in a year. What she brings to that classroom won't be determined by the flashcards set in the Target aisle. It will be determined by whether the year before school gave her brain the conditions it needed to arrive ready. If you want to understand what those conditions look like in practice, the specific daily habits that Finnish and Scandinavian parents use at home to build the calm, resilience, and emotional regulation that the school system then builds on, that video on raising calm kids the Finnish way is ready for you right now. Subscribe if this research is useful to you, and we will see you in the next one.